The winter is around the corner and this is the best weather for boosted cars in Texas. But the problem is none of my Eclipses are working properly and I have to do something about it. That's why today I'm going to work on my red Eclipse. The plan for today is to replace the timing belt because recently I did a timing belt job on my silver Eclipse and then I start thinking about how old is this timing belt actually, and it turned out that this timing belt is 7 years old, which means it's time to be replaced. You need to replace them every 6 years. That's the recommendation. You can go further, but nothing is promised. So I bought a new timing belt, Gates. This time I'm gonna go try Gates timing belts. This kit comes with a balance shaft belt. Since this car does have the balance shaft, I also bought the tensioner pulley, the idler pulley, all the pulleys needed to complete the job. I'm not planning to replace them since the old one are about 20-30,000 miles old. I just bought them in case any of them are bad. So let's get to work. I took off a few belts, the motor mount, and right now I'm in the process of taking off the bracket for the AC, which is down there. But I mounted my fuel pressure regulator on the way and it's a little bit more difficult to take off the bracket, but eventually I'll manage. I'm planning to relocate the fuel pressure regulator right over here like everybody does, but that's gonna be when I do the Brembo swap on the brakes, since I'm going to install the 3G brake booster. My crankshaft pulley have seen better days. You can see a little bit of chipping on the front, a little bit on the back. Not a big deal. I think she is still fine. I'm going to run her anyway since I can't find my spare one. We'll see how long it's gonna last. And I'm pretty much ready to take off the timing belt. All the marks are lining up. You can see the down pins are pointing up. These marks are lining up. And here on the bottom, this mark is lining up. This one right over here. And since this car does have a balance and shaft belt, there is one more mark right here on the top. So basically, when all the marks are lining up, your cylinder number 1 should be on the top. You can see right now it's on the top, and I'm pretty much ready to take off the timing belt. To take off the balance and shaft belt, first you need to remove the pulley, and then, if I remember correctly, you need to go a little bit clockwise and then take it off from the top, and then from here, and after this a little bit of counterclockwise if I'm thinking, or maybe I need to take off the sensor here. Yeah, let me take off the sensor here first. Okay, the sensor is out of the way. I'm talking about this one. And then you gotta keep going counterclockwise, just a little bit more. And I think I can take it off now, maybe. I need to go a little bit more. There we go. I just didn't want to go too much, that's why. And the belt is out of the way. And this belt actually is the one from the silver Eclipse when it used to have the balance shaft belt. This belt is 13 years old, and I don't see nothing wrong with it. Maybe a little bit of a cracking. Anyway, but this is the timing belt, and I think it's in pretty good condition, but just didn't want to risk it. I don't see any cracking. You can see all this dirt here, and I think this is from the belt. And it's all cleaned up and ready for the new timing belt. I already checked out the pulleys and they appear to be in good condition. Also, the hydraulic tensioner is not leaking, so I'm going to reduce all these parts. And first, let's start with the balance shaft belt. Something that I just noticed is my balance shaft belt. You can see, look like it's slightly defective, and I'm not sure, should I run it like this? I don't know, it's not a big deal, but for sure Gates racing belts, it's a poor quality, I guess. Quality control sucks. I decided that I'm not going to take any chance with this balance shaft belt. You can see that it's definitely defective and I need to get another one. I also found a defect in the timing belt. Let me see if the camera is gonna focus. You can see it's not too much, but definitely it's not supposed to be like this. And now what I'm going to do is cut these belts because I need to get my refund back, and they want me to prove them that I destroyed them. There we go. And now the timing belt. And it's all done. I already ordered a new belt. This time I'm going to try with the Grady ones. I know they're pretty much the same, at least that's what it says, that Gates make them, but I'm not quite certain this. The Grady belts are here and they appear to be free of any factory defects, which is a good thing. Theoretically, Gates and Grady are the same belts because Gates make the belts for Grady. They make black belts and send them to Grady, and then Grady paint them with blue on top, and that's why sometimes the blue on top is fading on Grady. Over time it will fade, and you can see the belt here is black and it's only painted blue, and the paint does smell like bubble gum. It has some specific smell and it's glossy comparing to the Gates one, which you can see it's completely blue, and the feel it's like a rubbery feel, a little bit different. I don't know how true is this, but most likely it is that the Gates make the Grady belts. Anyway, that doesn't matter as long as they work good, but if you want to be on the safe side, I suggest you buy the OEM belts. You're not gonna go wrong with them. I just bought them because they're blue and I want a blue belt because I'm crazy. That's another story. But usually you won't go wrong with the factory genuine Mitsubishi belt. You can see 7 years later, no cracking or anything, so you'll be fine with it. Anyway, let me start putting back everything together because this car has been sitting like this for quite a while. The belt does have some slight imperfection, not a big deal. You can see it's nothing to worry about, at least I hope so. Should be fine, but I'm just showing this. If anything go wrong and this belt fell in the future, just to let you know, I saw it. Now, installing the bouncer shaft belt, it's pretty simple. Rotate it clockwise the crank a little bit until this metal piece come up, so you can slide in the belt right here. So now I'm gonna slide in the belt just like this, and then I'm going to rotate the crank counterclockwise just like this, and I'm gonna wait until this metal piece come up to the top. I'm gonna keep rotating, and now almost done. There we go. It's all done. That's it. I forgot to do something really important. Before I put it back to the bouncer shaft pocket, I do need to rotate the crank back to the top dead center, and I'm gonna have to hold it just like this. There we go. And now I can put it back here and be done with it. Just like this. Something I just noticed is that they did some revision of the pulley. You can see the new one slightly different. This one is pretty old, that's why I just checked, and apparently this is the new style. I'm still gonna reuse my old one, but I was just checking to see if I'm using the right bolt here. Is this the correct one? I just checked, but I was just curious if this is normal to be like this. And then I found out that they did a revision, and now the washer will lay completely, not like here. Anyway, it was like this for quite a while, so it won't be a big deal. The bouncer shaft pulley is mounted, and now the biggest question is, how tight do you want this belt to be? In the manual it says the deflection should be about 5 to 7 millimeters. And how you're gonna measure this? Basically get some depth gauge like this one, and you see how it's cut straight here on the top. You're gonna put it like this, and then you're gonna press on the belt. I mean, with one hand it's a little bit more difficult. Then you're gonna press on with the hand and measure the deflection. I mean, you can do it by feeling, it's not a big deal, but if you want to measure it, you can do it. The next thing on the list is the timing belt, but since this one does have a bouncer shaft belt, you have to be sure that you haven't touched the oil pump pocket, because if you rotate this pocket 360 once, it's gonna be on the opposite side. Basically you gotta rotate it one more time, and then it's gonna be on the correct one. Just make sure you haven't touched it, otherwise your car will vibrate, and you won't be happy, because you have to take everything apart. And to make sure that it's in the correct position, there is a bolt on the side of the block right over here somewhere. You gotta take it off, and you can insert a screwdriver. It have to go deep around 2 inches. If it only goes deep to around 1 inch, you have to rotate the oil pump sprocket. So that's something you don't want to mess up. otherwise you have to redo the job. I have done this one wrong and it wasn't fun. I just remembered that there is actually a trick to check it if it's on the correct side. I don't remember if this was the right way to check it, but it was something like this, because right now if I rotate it, you see how it's coming back. This is the correct side, but if I rotate it one more time, the wrong side, you see how it's going down. So that's the wrong side, and this one should be the right one, because you see how it's coming back. Hopefully I didn't mess it up, because I don't want to take off the bolt, but as far as I remember, it was like this. The new timing belt is installed and all the marks are lining up. I already applied some tension to the timing belt. This is done simply by rotating the tensioner pulley down there. You have to use this special tool. And to check if you apply the correct tension to the belt, you simply have to check your tensioner, hydraulic tensioner. You can see the tensioner down there, and this is the grenade pin. I'm using an Allen wrench, but usually you have a pin. And what you have to be able to do is simply to be able to take it off, and then to put it back on. That means you apply the correct tension to the belt. I put it back on through all the holes, not just through one, through all three of them. Since the tension is out good now, I can take off the grenade pin, and then I'm just gonna cut off all the zip ties, take everything off, rotate the engine a few times, about 10 times, then wait 15 minutes and check if you can put back the grenade pin. If you can, your tension should be correct. I think it will be a little bit on the tight side, so you can also check it with the Allen wrench like I showed you before. I found my spare hydraulic tensioner and I took off the grenade pin. This way we can test and see if I set up the correct tension to the belt. So it's been 15 minutes, so now theoretically this pin is supposed to fit throughout the holes and move freely. You can see that the pin is going through all the holes and it does move freely, which means that the tension is set correctly. But this is one way of doing the tension of the belt. This is my first time trying this way actually. I always follow the manual, and if we follow the manual, so this is the hydraulic tensioner, and especially for this I bought this 3.8 millimeter rod, because if you follow the manual, the distance between the bottom here and the top, so basically imagine this is the arm, and from the bottom to the arm the distance is supposed to be 3.8 millimeters, from 3.8 millimeters up to 4.5 millimeters. And if we follow the manual, now I'll have to try out and see if this rod will fit down there. So let's try it out. Let me focus. Alright, and now you can see that the rod doesn't fit. It's pretty close, but it doesn't fit, which means if we go by the manual, the tension is too much. So I don't know which way is the correct one, but I always go by the rod, so I always measure the distance. And I don't want to take any chances with this belt, because these belts, the Grady, the Gates, they don't like too much tension. If they're over tightened, they may snap, and that's not something you want. If it was the genuine belt like this one, I won't care, because these belts can take some more tension, but the Grady ones, they don't. That's why you hear a story about Grady and Gates belts snapping. And as far as I know, this is one of the main reasons. And there's one more thing, let me show you. So this is my spare hydraulic tensioner, but as you can see, it's leaking. So this is a good example of a leaky hydraulic tensioner. You can see how it's leaking on the middle. When I bought it 2 years ago, it wasn't leaking. I bought it from some guy for 50 bucks on eBay. But it wasn't leaking when I bought it. Actually, I never compressed it. Now I compressed it a little bit so I can take off the pin, and it did start leaking. So maybe it was like this from the beginning. It looked like new, but it's leaking. Anyway, I'm out of 50 bucks, not a big deal, but that's why I always buy straight from the vendors. So now I'm gonna lose the tension a little bit, set it up the way I want, and continue from there. I readjusted the tension, and now I can fit the 3.8mm rod, and I think the distance between the tensioner and the arm is about 3.9mm, because I cannot fit the 4mm rod, but you can see that there is a little bit of gap, so it should be around 3.9, 3.8 and something. So now I think everything is perfectly good, and I cannot fit the grenade pin without any force. I mean, I can force it a little bit and it will fit, but I can fit the Allen key, which is this Allen key is with a slightly smaller diameter, and it does fit perfectly fine. Now let me show you. You can see that I can insert the Allen key and it does move freely. And if I try to, let me get the pin, if I try to insert the pin, I still can. You can see with a little bit of force it doesn't move freely, but I still can insert it. So basically right now I am between the both ways. Like, I mean, I still can fit the pin, the genuine one, and it does measure 3.8 millimeters, so I'm quite happy with the end result. Alright, I went back and reread the manual, and it turned out that so many years I was doing the timing job wrong. Not really wrong, but I was skipping one step, and this was the step with the grenade pin. Basically, in the manual it does say set up the tension with the grenade pin, like I did this time, and you can see that I can insert the grenade pin right now and it does move freely. So basically, when you set up the tension with the grenade pin, take it off, and after this you have to measure the distance between the tensioner and the arm, and it should read 3.8 up to 4.5 millimeters. And now if I try to read it, actually it does show 3.8 millimeters, it does fit. So I found out what was wrong the last time. Actually, this grenade pin was bended, and the first time when I took it off I straightened it up, but I guess it wasn't straight enough, so I straightened it up a little bit more, and now it can go throughout the holes and I'm able to fit the grenade pin. So this is the correct way of doing it, and just like this it's all done. And now I'm doing a quick oil change since this oil is probably over a year old, which is not a really good thing, but you can see how dark it is. Actually, it's not that bad. I took a sample from the old oil and it appeared to be free of any metal shavings or anything strange. At least visually, I don't see anything to worry about. It does smell on E85 like a really strong smell of E85. That's because I'm running the car really rich. The car is probably dumping tons of E85, and for example my spark plug, it's slightly rusted. I'm guessing this from the E85, or I don't know. It's just kind of strange. I mean, they're kind of old, mileage wise, not that old, but they have been sitting in the car for quite a while. I don't know, I gotta check the other plugs and see. The oil which I'm using is 10W40 Mobile 1. The reason I'm running 10W40 is because the car does have a lot of mileage, and the piston rings are kind of worn out, so this way it will burn less oil. I took off the spark plugs and they appear to be pretty much in the same condition, all of them. So only this one, it's kind of white here, but this most likely from the water, because my hood is open here, and when it's raining the water gets trapped here, and this spark plug was kind of loose, so most likely this is the reason. And I also have this machine which I bought long time ago, and I'm curious to see how this thing is gonna work. Alright, and I think I just need to turn it on. Let's see. This one is not sparking a lot, I think so. Let me raise it up, I guess. I'm going to turn off the lights. Alright, the lights are off, and let's turn it on. I can't see a shit. Ah, it's the other direction. They appear to fire the same way, but it turned out I need to put a new spark plug here. This is just for comparison, I think so. It doesn't matter if this one is here, but now I need to find a new spark plug and test it out. I found some newer spark plugs. This one appeared to be in really good condition. I think those spark plugs are from my blown engine, since you can see the rest of them are bent. I don't think I'm gonna use them, since it's gonna be a bad luck, and I know that I can open this one and it will work, but I don't feel like it. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. And let's try it out. I'm gonna use only 3 of them, since when I hook up out the spark plugs. My phone is freezing. That's because maybe from the interference. So let's start it. From what I can see, the newer one, it does fire a lot brighter. So I guess I will need to replace these spark plugs. And this with the white off. You can see that the newer spark plug, it's a little bit brighter. Let's crank up the voltage. And something I just noticed, you see, this one is the damaged spark plug, and you see how it's sparking from the bottom. Probably doesn't make a good contact there, that's why. I mean, it's kind of questionable, but I think the newer one is better. I end up buying new spark plugs. They're only 20 bucks, so why not? And I also bought a new spark plug gapping too. And there is something strange. I mean, this one is the old one, and these are my old spark plugs, and you can see that they are gapped to around 22, 23, something like this. But when I switch it to the new two, the gap is about 26. So which one is reading correctly? That's the question. This one is a little bit heavier, and it's probably maybe 10 years old. And this one is lighter. I don't know why they're reading different. Anyway, I got down the new spark plugs down to 24, something like this. And if I try to insert them in the O2, I can't. Anyway, it's all good. I'm gonna follow the new two. We'll see what's gonna happen. Should be fine. And just like this, it's all back together. And here where the video is gonna end. But I can tell you what is gonna be on the next one. You can see a bunch of wiring, a few hanger. So it's gonna be a fuel related. I'm going to replace my fuel pump, fix my fuel gauge, and also finish my fuel pump rewire. You can see the mess on the back. It's gonna be great once it's done. So I guess that's it, guys, and see you on the next one.